What's up, Moto fam? How you doing? This is JD at Supercross.com, and I have with me Dave from the Collective Experience. What's going
What's
on,
going
dude? How you doing?
Good, man. We're clicking down the weeks to Supercross. I mean, more news is popping up every day, it feels like. So I'm excited to hop on and spitball with you some cool things coming on for 2020 and talk all things racing, man. I'm excited.
Good, good. How was your holiday, man?
It was good, man. Thanksgiving is one of my favorite ones. I like to eat. I'm a big boy, so it was good for me, man. A lot of good friends around me, a lot of good food, so I can't complain.
So good, good. Shoot,
Yes,
my
sir.
group, man, they're fat and happy. They don't have any complaints. They can't. They got nothing to be upset about.
I hate that. I
Well,
hate that.
we're going into the Christmas holiday. I mean, and um, the crazy thing is, it gets so fast after that. It's like Christmas, and then all of a sudden, it's time to leave for A1, and so I'm excited. I'm ready for that.
Yeah, definitely. Me too, man. It's like I said, it's popping up quick. I mean, before we know it, we're gonna be wrapping up presents and kicking into the new year, and then boom, it's A1 week, which I feel like we just got out outdoors, man. Already it's Supercross time. So,
That's
like I
true.
said, I'm in for it, man. I mean, I'm really excited to just to see where everyone's at, man. A1's always a breath of
Yeah,
fresh air, and
yeah.
just seeing where all the teams are gonna line up, who's like the guy to talk about, and who's the underdog, man. It's some of the best headlines of the year.
That's right. Well, like we said before, we wanted to do these, weekly as much as we can, especially during the season. We'll be having multiple. And so tonight, I wanted us to follow up from last night where we talked about the 250 class last week. I wanted us to run through the teams for the 450, talk about some of these guys because there's been some big changes lately. And
Yeah.
before I did, I wanted to mention a couple of things. First, at the end of tonight's little chat, Dave has a trivia question for everybody. Now,
Yes.
the way this
Yeah.
is going to
Good.
work, okay, the way this is going to work is we are going to have multiple winners, but the winners will be chosen, in the order of comment. So you comment on whatever you think the answer is. Whoever's right, the first one's right, they get a chance to pick from this group of prizes. So here we go, really quickly. We've got my favorite snapback, right? The trucker. This is
Mm,
one. We've got a couple of the new designs as well.
mm.
We've got these snapbacks. And we've got a very cool one from Nice Ride. I actually really, really like these guys'
Yeah.
snapbacks. They sent us a few
Those
of
are
them.
awesome.
They're dope. They're dope.
Yes, sir.
We got the Digi. And also, for those who may be interested, we've got a t-shirt that was sent over to us by Fly. We got the little decal in here as well, right? And so it's pretty simple. Dave's going to have a question for you at the end. Whoever guesses it right, that's who's going to pick from the group. And if you're last, hey, you're just picking from the leftovers at that point. But every week we want to do this as well. When we have this vid, Dave's going to come up with a cool trivia question for us. And so I just
Sure.
wanted to give a heads up at the end. There's your question. Give us your response. Okay? You got a good one for us, Dave, later on or what?
I got a good one, man. I got a good one.
Good,
Gonna make you think.
good, good. Okay, okay. So, really quickly, what this is about, we're just having fun. Dave and I like to talk moto. We're at the races, we're at the pits. We get a chance to hang out with some cool riders and great people. And so we want to bring that to you guys. And along the way, we just want to enjoy ourselves. So tonight we're going to be talking about the 450 class, some of the different teams. We're also going to be talking a little bit about the giveaways. Like we said before, we've got some big giveaways happening. It's going to be cumulative throughout the season, but we got a lot of prizes along the way as well. And one of those is, some trips to the actual race where we purchase your ticket, we purchase your plane ticket, your hotel room. We're taking care of you, and part of that is you get in on the collective experience, quote unquote, the collective experience. And Dave's the one who spearheads that. Let me let him tell you a little bit more about that. He's going to do a good job with it. Definitely better than I will. So fill him in, Dave.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really excited to be partnering up with JD and Supercross.com to bring some giveaway winners the ultimate experience, and we mean ultimate experience. So the collective experience specializes in bringing fans like all of you guys behind the scenes like never before with some of your favorite riders. That could be Tyler Bowers, Adam Enticknap, AJ Catanzaro, Tevin Tapia, you name it. So you're getting a chance to get an industry guest pass, an industry seating, get an all access, all day pit pass. You get so much swag, you'll barely be able to walk out of the stadium. We're giving you the chance to meet with so many different sponsors and industry leaders, touching the bikes, talking to the mechanics, working with a rider on line choice, on rhythm decisions, helping them get their race strategy set for the night and main event. So you're going to be a full-blown team member, and it doesn't get much better than this. You'll be front row center for all of the action, making memories, making connections in the sport that really lasts a lifetime. And this is an experience unlike anything offered. We're really getting you hands-on, tons of FaceTime with the teams and riders. It's not just a handshake. You're an actual team member, and you're helping these guys every step of the way throughout the night. And that's all brought to you guys by the Collective Experience and by JD and Supercross.com. These guys are giving away some of the most amazing giveaways. And there's no one else in the industry giving away as much as these guys. So you guys would definitely be missing out if you did not take part in it. And just make sure you follow Supercross.com, the Collective Experience. Tell your friends about it. If you're not in on this giveaway, man, you're missing big time. Definitely got to do it.
And just a little caveat. Speaking of sponsors, let me quickly give a shout out to Rockwell Time, to Fly, to Bucked Up Energy, to Polaris. We appreciate all of the help with the prizes, the sponsorship. Thank you very much. Dave, you got anybody you want to mention?
Yeah, I got to give a huge shout out to FXR. Those guys are always keeping me draped in the nicest stuff. Man, I just got done getting another shipment in. These guys are doing right by me.
That's dope, dude.
Always the sickest gear. Also, I got to say thank you to Flow Vision Goggles. These guys are keeping me and a lot of other AMs like just kitted like you wouldn't believe. Some of the best fitting, best goggles out there. Also, a huge shout out to Intake Breathing Systems. Broke Amateur Racing with some of the coolest apparel you're going to see on the market. Overshare Advice. And definitely got to give a shout out to Moto Tape. Those guys have been super, super huge for us, along with Evans Power Sports. So thank you to those guys, and we're hoping to expand that sponsorship list in the coming weeks, and really be able to give a lot of our fans and a lot of our followers some really cool industry coupons and access to some great products.
Very cool. So let's get started. Let's kind of run through these teams a little bit. I'm curious what you think about this 450 group. You know, the teams, the guys who don't have a spot, what you think the season's going to shape up like, a few predictions. So let's start out with KTM. Okay, KTM. Okay. We got the Web Wagon, the notorious Web Wagon that, you know, to start the season last year, it was just the mention of a Web Wagon, but by the end of the season, one wagon couldn't hold all of the fans. There were so many Cooper Webb fans at that point. And so I don't know where they were at the beginning of the year, but by the end of the year, it seemed like everybody was a Webb fan. And so tell me what your thoughts on this are, because he's kind of like that lone man, that island for KTM right now with you know, the recent hurt from Muskinen. So you tell me what you think.
I like Webb's chances, you know, and I to be honest, I was one of those fans last year that didn't really put Cooper Webb in my top 3 of overall finishers for the championship. Wasn't really sure where he was, had kind of a lackluster going on Yamaha, and he just completely surprised everyone. The way he rode, the tenacity, the never say die, just that really bulldog way he asserted himself in that top tier position. It was masterful, man. The guy looked like he was gelling with that bike, like he didn't care who was around him. He was going to hunt you down, take the lead, and win the dang race. So I like his chances for this year, man. It looks really good. He's on the same bike he was last year, and he's got KTM's full support. It's a bummer that Muskin's out, but this can mean a lot of cool things. All of KTM's resources they're going straight towards Webb, so he's got a really good shot at reclaiming that title. He's going to have a little bit more eyes, a little bit more pressure on him. That red plate, that #1 plate, gets really heavy for a lot of these guys we've seen. But I think if there's anyone that can handle that pressure, I think it's Cooper Webb.
You know what? After last year, I would, I would agree. I thought that the pressure, even from last year, was going to get too heavy for my man. Like I just thought,
Yeah.
every round I was thinking this is probably the one. And you don't want to see anybody get hurt. You don't want to have somebody just have a horrible performance. But he just
No.
didn't come. He literally just rose to every occasion. And
Yes.
when you make the comment, it didn't care who was around him on the bike. I mean, there was a couple of times where there were a couple of rounds where when Marvin was around him on the bike, I mean, the fans got a chance to see how much he really wanted it in this
Yeah.
process. So
Yep.
and everybody who watched last season, you're familiar with that. I mean, there were some times where people thought, this guy, he'd run over his own grandma for a W if he had to, right? And so
Yeah.
he and he's just impressive. Serious, the weight of it. Like last year, I thought he might have folded. Now I'm thinking, man, he's got a year into that bike. He's going to come out pretty strong this year.
Yeah.
It's
I agree. I agree.
it's I was gonna say it's kind of sad, with where Marvin's at right now. But I mean, do you think anybody can come in at what KTM would expect at this point, or do you think it's just going to be Cooper all year?
Oh man, that's tough. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know who could really take that mantle and be like a Muskin. I think all the other OEMs have some of the top guys. If you're looking for maybe like a second or third tier guy, the options are a little bit more available.
Yeah,
It's going to be tough, man. Honestly, I mean, I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Chad Reed would be a good fill-in for that spot." It would be super cool to see him ride a
that'd be cool.
KTM. We've seen
Yeah,
him on that OEM yet. It'd be really interesting, and he'd bring a lot of fans with him over to the KTM rig.
yeah,
And it'd be cool. It could be cool to see CR22 go out in a factory ride. But I mean, it's we haven't really seen Reed up there in the podium as of late. We know he can do it. He's Chad Reed. He's a legend. We really haven't seen it. So it's tough, man. I don't know. I don't know who can come up there and be like that really good guy to surprise a lot of people
yeah.
and really do good and bring value to the KTM name, man. It's tough. It's definitely tough.
And that that's a good point. I mean, you've got a brand here that in a way you can't even really afford to bring on that third tier guy or somebody who's a
Yeah.
little lower. Like you got to bring somebody in who's at a certain level. So just
Yeah.
so that you've got some brand leverage there. It can't just be somebody else on a bike. There's got to be
Yeah.
a chance at a podium, week in, week out, and so
Definitely.
that'll be a surprise if somebody pops up. I mean, I'd like to see it. I think it'd be cool. If nothing else, it's a really good story for this season to see it
Yeah.
happen. But it'd be cool.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's Rocky Mountain, dude. Blake Baggett. You know, it's a trip. Like Baggett, when you see this guy in the outdoors, I mean, he can go 4 or 5 rounds, and it looks like he's just mashing everybody into the dirt. And then we
Yep.
make this transition over to Supercross, and it's like he's always in that top 5 space, maybe just a little bit outside of it, but he's just not the guy at the moment who you see him going for a podium week in, week out. And um, he's somebody who, like, I'm a fan. I'm actually really I love the fact that this guy, down home guy, his training is on a backhoe, right? He's got his own farm that he does, his own racing, his own space. I like that. I think it's super cool how he is on and off the bike. But Rocky Mountain, they want podiums, and so tell me where you think he's going to be at this year.
Man, I like Baggett also. I think he's definitely a really talented rider. I think he's every bit as talented as a Ken Roczen
Yeah.
Marvin Muskin, and those guys they're known for wins. And I think people kind of write off Bag a lot for Supercross. Had some really good rides last season. Really opened some eyes and shocked some people, and saying that he's more than just a moto rider, more than just an outdoor rider. So I like his chances. I think historically he hasn't been the best starter. So maybe if he's able to get out front, really run some fast laps at first, get out in the sprint. I think he's got a really good shot at taking home the W, or at least getting himself a second or third and ending up on that podium. It's going to be a little tougher. He's every year it gets harder and harder for these guys. Blake's not a spring chicken, so I think he's got a few good seasons in him where he can really make a run at this thing. There's no reason why he can't be a title contender. You know what I mean? He's got the talent, he's got the resources behind him with a great bike. I think his chances are good for a win, a bunch of podiums. Whether he kind of puts it together or not, that's kind of it's kind of up to him. It'd be really cool to see that though. It mix it up a little bit instead of just seeing the same top 3 or 4 guys. Throw a bag in there, and you can really open some eyes.
And you talked about the starts. On the other side of the coin, you've got Bogle. And
Ooh.
dude, when you talk about starts, he's had some runs where he was crazy heading
Yeah.
towards the first turn. I mean, the whole shot, he's really, really talented in that space. And so, but at the same time, it's like if he doesn't make a serious run at the whole shot, it's almost like he can quickly end up in that pack and never really come out of it, as opposed to other riders that it doesn't really matter where they're at. When they get ready to make a charge, it's happening. And so Bogle, he's somebody who, man, same thing. I think he's really talented, really strong. He's got a ton of tools there. And to me, I think Rocky Mountain's a really good fit for him, to be honest with you. I like
I agree.
seeing him in that space on that team. And so he's somebody who I hope he has a really good year, because he's somebody who I think he, in a way, is almost like the Webb, where he was on the outside of that 5, that 8, that 10 spot, and but little by little he's chipped away at it, and he's made it up to the top there. I think Bogle's got that same fight in him, and I think he's got a lot of the same tools to put him there. Personally, what do you think about Bogle?
I like Bogle. You said it. This guy has gotten some of the biggest hole shots we've seen in all of motocross, like almost like a Lessie style hole shots. Super cool. With Bogle, I think his issue is consistency. I think
Yeah,
that should be the game for him for 2020. Is just being consistent. There's some races where Bogle will come out and he'll win, and when you'll never see it coming. There's other races where it'll be the weekend after where he's in 14th and you forget he's even there. So
yeah,
and which with Bogle is just he's way too good of a rider to have that happen. Way too much fanfare behind him to do that. I again I agree with what you said, that he's almost like a Baggett, where he's got the talent, he's got the tools. Just crazy talented on a motorcycle. He gels very well with that KTM and with that team, and I really want to see him more consistent. Whether that's hey, maybe one podium and a bunch of top 5s, that's a much better season than we've seen in the past from Bogle. Of course, he's capable of a lot more, but I think that would be a really good starting point to start building that level towards getting back towards the top.
right, right. So let's talk about Tedder for a sec.
Mm.
Okay, Davalos. Give me your initial thoughts. Like, whenever I mention the name Davalos, what's your first things that come to mind?
Ah, man, just all out crushing it for the first 2 or 3 races, and then something happens. Something happens. I've been watching Marty since I was a kid. That guy has been like the closest to becoming a championship contender, and taking the whole thing more so than anyone else I've ever seen. He's not taking anything away from him. The guy is great rider.
Yeah,
Great on any team he's part of, because he's going to get at least one win, a bunch of heat race wins, and really ride that bike to the best of his ability. The only thing with Marty is that we always see a drop off. We see a really good run up for a while, 2, 3, 4 races, and then something happens and we don't see Marty anymore. So I heard, he rides that KTM pretty good. We've seen him on 450s in the past. Seems like he's much more consistent. And I think he's going to really gel well with that. The Tedder team, from what I hear, has some good support, really good structure towards him. They've always had good backing. And I think Marty could do well. I think he's probably the one guy that's going to surprise a lot of people. People are probably going to write him off a little bit, being that it's more of his, rookie 450 Supercross deal. But I think he's going to turn some heads.
I do too. I got him picked as my sleeper. I actually think
Yeah.
I do. I
Yeah.
think he's going to have a really, really good year, to be honest with you, because he's,
Yeah.
there's something to prove there, and it's almost like those rounds where he had something to prove, he really showed up, and so I think he's going to have a really good season, to be honest with you. I don't think, and he's somebody who, injured or not, is like you get a full effort from this guy, every single round. And you can't say that about everybody, but he's definitely one who I think he's got all the tools to be the sleeper and to have some really, really good rounds this year. So, all right, okay, let's talk about Dakota. Tell me what you think about that. I mean, in a way, it almost feels that that's probably, out of everybody, to me, that's probably the two that don't seem that they sync up as well. Like, just different styles, different approaches to the rounds and whatnot. And so, tell me what you think about that guy.
I think Dakota has a lot of potential. I think a lot of people kind of with his fans and stuff like that, or with the general fan in the industry, I think he kind of falls under the radar a little bit in terms of privateers. So I think he tends to get overshadowed by like the Alex Rays, the Ed Signaps, the AJ Catanzaros. But I think he's a solid rider. I definitely see the progression over the last couple of seasons of him kind of taking it a little bit more serious, putting the time in to train, and doing pretty damn good. Now we didn't get to see a lot of him this past season with him being hurt for majority of it, and I think just a refresh ATM come aboard their program, having almost a world class rider like a Davalos. It's really going to help him. I think it's going to elevate his game, give him sort of like that little rabbit to chase, and I think it's going to be good for him. I think just the whole new presence of, again, the KTM, the having Davalos there, having more eyes on the Tedder team, it can only help him. So I hope he really uses the momentum that he's got with all of this new energy coming into his program and runs with it. There's no reason why he can't run top 15s and be like that next guy after we see after the big factory squad and be one of the top privateers of the year. There's no reason why he can't do it. I think he's capable of it, and hopefully he can make that work for him.
I was gonna say, let's hope he stays healthy. It'd be cool to see.
Yeah.
Either way,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, Team Honda. We've got arguably the greatest comeback story in all of sports history here, and he's somebody who it's almost, so this is personal opinion obviously, but it was almost like he made the comeback and he made it in such an impressive fashion and then started the rounds so well. I was really surprised when it seemed like it kind of tapered off a little bit, into the season. And I didn't know if that was conditioning. I didn't know if that was, a mental part. I didn't know if, it literally was just his body wasn't ready for the rounds, week in, week out, with all the banging around that happens. And personally, it's always, to me, it's always got to be a thought in the back of, his mind, of the last tumble, the big wreck. And nobody wants to see that again. Nobody. And so anytime he comes off of the bike, I think everybody's, they're a little worried because of it, because, it's an injury and it's always easy to re-injure something. But he's somebody who, if he is at the top of the pile at the end of the year, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised at all. No, there's nothing he's missing. Literally, I can't think of any weak spots for him to fill in or get stronger. It's literally just bringing it week in, week out, and just staying consistent in the numbers. Whereas a point race, just got to be consistent.
I agree, man. I mean, there's millions of fans out there that would love to see him sort of bring himself to the top step of the podium. I mean,
Yep.
he's a great ambassador for the sport, really trying to professionalize himself in the sport, and just one of the best riding techniques, one of the best personalities in the sport, and one of the greatest riders we've ever seen. So definitely want to improve on the 2019 season. I mean, I don't think that was the best Roczen that we've seen. I definitely don't. I know he's got a lot more in the tank, a lot more talent. He's one of my favorite riders personally, and definitely think that he's capable of a lot more than last season. Not taking anything away from him. He did have some really great breakout rides, but I think the Ken Roczen that we're used to seeing is the guy that's either first or second. It doesn't matter, but it's every single race weekend. And I think he probably addressed that, I think, in the off season and through outdoors and stuff like that. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's got the red plate at some point. I mean, definitely hope that it's not a one-man race. And I hope that Roczen's one of those guys that brings some parity to the sport, mixes things up, and carries on to the Ken Roczen name, man. I mean, he very much could be the 2020 champion, and myself and a lot of other people would love to see it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, arguably the greatest comeback story of all time, and so to see him at the top, that'd be awesome. To me, that'd be really, really cool. So the other, on the other side there in the pit, you got Brayton, and this guy in his own, in his own space, he's just as impressive. You look at age, time on the bike, even the hard tumbles he's taken as well. I mean, that crash last year, like that was rough, and so, tell me how you think he'll do, because this is a different space for him. You come into this crew, this pit area. I mean, this is top shelf. If you're going to choose a place to go, as far as support, as far as regiment, as far as literally, media as well. I mean, that Team Honda, they're top shelf. So, tell me how you think Brayton's going to make the adjustment and how he'll do this year.
I think Brayton's going to do very well. One thing about Brayton is that he's a workhorse, man. He's consistent, and that seems like it's very valuable, and in the sport nowadays, maybe more so than it was in the past. Brayton rides that Honda extremely well. He's no stranger to the Honda outfit. I think the resources that's behind him now, and the amount of attention that he's going to get from top tier Honda, can only help him. He's on probably one of the better bikes of the class. And he's got a teammate like Ken Roczen to kind of, I don't want to say keep him young, but keep him chasing something. Saying that, like I said, with Dakota Tedder and Davalos, I think he's got a very, very good teammate, a very open teammate that could probably help him get to the next step. And what I like about Brayton is that he's an inspiration to a lot of people. He's an older guy, but he's never ruffled any feathers. Great personality, always interacting with fans, very liked by many racers. I really think he's going to do well for the team. I don't think there's anything that says Brayton can't get a string of top fives and sneak in for a podium. And heck, maybe he'll surprise us like he did at Daytona and nab a win.
Yeah.
One of these Triple Crown races or one of these tracks that gets really, really gnarly where he can show off just his smooth, consistent style. He could win the race, man. And turn the industry on its head one more time. So I like his chances. I think we're going to see him in a lot of top five rides, banging bars with some of the young guns, and just keeping himself relevant, keeping his name up there, and doing them right by the Honda.
Good deal. Okay. Next in line, MCR, we got Mr. Stewart here.
Yes.
He's somebody who I'm still waiting for him to make the impact and the splash that I honestly believe he can make. Like, yeah. I think he's the guy who, well, not just me. Like, when you look at fan base, people, they like Mookie. They like him, and it's not just because of a brother or a legacy or anything. Like, he's his own man out there on a bike, and
Yep.
he's good. He's really good. And so, tell me how you think he's going to end up doing this year, because I think we've seen little glimpses already that
Yes.
he's coming this year. Like, he's trying to make some serious moves, and he wants to be that top 5 guy week in, week out, going for a podium on a number of occasions. So tell me what you think.
Yeah. I have to agree with you. I think Malcolm is probably one of the most talented riders we've seen. I know he gets a lot of comparisons to his brother, but like you said, he's his own rider. I mean, he's a whole different style, a whole different way of charging that he's made a huge niche and impact in the sport on his own. Not really relying on his last name, but just doing it Malcolm style, and that's why I think so many people love this guy. What I really liked about Malcolm is that he came in 19 just blazing. He took the time to test, took the time to train, get comfortable on that Honda, and did really good by the team. Malcolm is probably I won't say the most slept on rider, but he's not at the forefront of people's minds. People love him, but when we say championship or wins, no one says Malcolm first. I think he wants to change that in 2020. You saw in the off-season races like Bercy, arguably the fastest rider. I know Barsha ended up taking that one, but Malcolm had the lap times and just like the consistency and just like that upper echelon of racing prowess. He had it, man.
Yeah.
And I think what's going to help him for 2020 is keeping that momentum going forward. He's used to the team, used to the bike, extra comfortable. I think he learned a lot last season, even without having that big accident he had in Arizona. So look for him to be up there. I mean, I don't see him getting out of the 2020 season without a podium. So I'll go on record by saying
Wow.
that at least one podium. And one thing about him is that he's a bigger guy. He's not afraid to rub paint. Like, he'll run you high. He'll sneak it in on you. We've seen him battling with people in the past you really didn't think he would be battling with. And I want to see how that translates into the season. If that helps his confidence, if that ruffles some feathers with people, or if just how it turns out, man. I'm really excited to see that, and I want Malcolm to have a good season for sure.
Now, in the other side there, we have Heel, which we kind of chatted about with our last conversation in the 250 land. But tell me how you think he's going to do this year, because we've seen these moments, these spurts where he's really aggressive, he's there, he's strong, he's well trained. It's like he's got all these tools, but then it's really easy to just not see him any at all after those practice rounds, or after everybody's trying to get through the first half of the day. He's there, but then towards the second half, there's nothing. Tell me how you think the year's going to shape up for this guy.
I think 2020 is going to be a building year for Hill. Super talented guy. Kind of reminds me of like a Bogle, where he'll show up in one race and you're thinking, man, Hill is one of the fastest guys I've ever seen. And the next weekend, you forget he's out there because he's in 17th, 12th, 19th, 13th. So you kind of forget that he's racing. He doesn't really show up every single weekend results wise. And I think being on the MCR team, being on a different bike, is going to breathe some new life into him. I think he's really going to get acclimated very quickly. That team, one thing that they do very well is get their riders comfortable very quickly on their bikes, and their bikes seem to be working very good. He's got two great teammates in Friese and Stewart. Both those guys can give him all he can handle, I'm sure, in the practice days, and it's really great training for him. So I really hope that he can be more consistent. I mean, even if it's not top fives or top threes, if that guy can be consistent, 7-6, 7-8, 6-5, just every once in a while, I think it's gonna be a little bit better than just like coming up and getting pole position in Supercross qualifying, and then and you have the race 10th, and then going up for like a 5th, and then falling back to 17th. If he can kind of get like a more of a nominal position of like a 6th or a 5th or 7th, 8th, something like that, it's going to be a good season for him, and then you can kind of build on that with each individual passing week, and start building the confidence and start getting back into race pace and battling up front with these guys. There's no reason why he can't. It's on a great bike. The guy can ride his ass off. Guys, he knows a motorcycle, that's for sure. So hopefully he can make it happen, and hopefully it goes good for him. But just one thing is just the consistency, man. Whether Hill can get it done or not, it's tough to say. But I hope he does, and MCR could be the dream team this year.
When you mentioned comfort, that's probably the first thing that came to mind. He has mentioned more than one time, comfort level, being in a good mental space before the race starts, to be consistent, and I think comfort level is going to be it there. And so if he, it's not a matter of whether or not he's got the tools. We've already talked about that. But I think comfort level is going to be it, knowing that a new team's behind him, new blood, got something to prove out there. These might be these little components that kind of help him, really focus week in, week out, and make a good splash. You're right. It could be the dream team. Like, it could be a really. Wouldn't that be awesome though? Serious. Like, if these two end up just completely putting the Cobra Clutch on everybody else out there, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. People would lose some money on that bet, but it would be cool.
Yeah. No one would see it coming, man. If you got, the FDR guys just going 1, 2, 3 and just killing it, you know what I mean? It would definitely open a lot of people's eyes and they'd be like, what the heck happened to MCR, man? Those guys are now the premier team, They shouldn't be winning these races, but they are, So
right.
that'd be awesome.
Now, the safe bet, obviously, would, is like a Kawasaki, right? We're going to talk about a team that seems like the for sure team. I mean, right now, between Tomac and AC, I mean, good grief. These guys, there's somebody who you gotta plan on these guys being there week in, week out. I mean, unless there's some serious injury, hopefully not. I mean, injury, hopefully not. But man, to watch AC make this kind of splash and this kind of impact this quickly, and to then be beside Tomac competing, night in, night out. This is gonna be good. It's gonna be really, really good. So what I'm curious about is, how do you think Tomac's consistency is going to be? Because there's some times where, man, when we saw him in the outdoors, like last year, for example, not even like this past year, but the one before that, dude, it was like round after round. It was like he was a machine, literally. And then, then you'll see him other times. He'll go 2, 3 rounds where you're wondering, is he injured? Is he not feeling well? Is he sick or under the weather? Like, and so as he gets older, right? Because every year is another year added on. I mean, tell me how you think the year's gonna shape up for Tomac.
I think this will probably be one of the better runs for Tomac. Everyone's kind of criticized his consistency over the years, and he's kind of almost like a Davalos, where he'll get into a really good streak. He'll win like 5, 6 races in a row, and then something will happen where he'll have like an off weekend or like a focus lapse or mechanical or something, and then that just kind of snowballs him into a bunch of bad rides where he has to kind of watch his points and go into emergency mode for the ride, and then that puts the stress up and the nerves and blah blah blah. And I hope he addresses that this year. I think once you go so many seasons with being arguably one of the better guys, and then you're not winning the championship, you've got the most wins, but you don't have the title, it gets frustrating, year after year. So I hope he addresses that this year, because he's a lot of people's favorites. He's a shoe-in to win for a lot of people. And I think he's going to want to show up his young gun new teammate and not go out there and have this rookie come out and take his lunch,
right.
you know what I mean? And be more consistent than him and start winning and grabbing all of the fanfare, and not to mention the money. So I think he's going to want to. I think he's going to want to step it up and address that. Whether it's backing it down a little bit, we have to see like guys like Stewart have to do that sometimes, where they're so fast and they're so just head and shoulders above the rest of the pack that he gets himself into trouble. So that might have to be a case where he either meters that back or just works on his mental focus and gets it done that way. But I do think that Tomac's a hard worker, and I don't think we're going to see that same pattern that we've seen over the past couple of years. So I'm rooting for him. I want to see a good ride. But only Tomac can answer that call when it comes to race time. So he can do it. It's just a matter of, is it going to happen for him?
And when you talk about a rookie that could actually be consistent and
Mm.
show him up if he's not careful. I mean, AC, he appears to be that guy, right?
Yeah.
Like especially after we saw him in the MEC, like that was crazy.
Yes.
And so, going into this next year, and it would be different if we hadn't seen him do so well under pressure, and even in his failures
Mm.
or big losses. I don't want to say failures. Even in his big losses, dude, really mature. This guy is just like this old soul who, just processes things really, really well for the most part. And, he's somebody who I think, week in, week out, can, even if he has a bad round, can learn from it and really come back that next week being a little bit better. We've seen it time and time again. And so Tomac's got his hands full right now. Like, if you're going to go out there against somebody on, to having your squad or having that same space, like, this is a guy you probably want to watch out for. And so I'm hoping it's really, really competitive, to be honest with you. Like,
Yes.
we don't get
Yes.
to see that as often as I'd like to. And so
Mm.
I'm hoping that within that camp, these two are going at it head to head every single weekend.
Yeah, me too. I think that's why Monster Cup was so exciting for all of us, right?
Yeah.
We got a chance to see a lot of the front runners be front runners, but we got to see a good battle. We got to see some high tension. We got to see AC make his debut and not back down. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very, very rare to see people go from the lights class or support class up to the 450s and not only be at the front of the pack, but look comfortable and not make many mistakes. And save for that little tip over that AC had, the guy looked untouchable, man. He was matching Tomac lap for lap. Didn't seem like the 450 was too much from the handle.
No.
Jumped well with the chassis and gave Tomac a run for his money. Didn't back down, wasn't scared. Didn't seem like these guys were bullying him at all. That's super rare. Not a lot of the greats have even done that. So I'm hoping the same as you, JD. I mean, I really hope that we see just an all-out fight between these two guys every single round, throwing a KTM guy in there, throwing a Yamaha guy, throwing a Honda, and get a good battle going. I mean, we missed that. We don't get a chance to see that often. Maybe here and there in the 250, but for the most part, 450s, those guys are kind of solidified by lap, 4 or 5. So I think AC's going to bring a lot of that. I think he's going to wake up Tomac a little bit and get Tomac doing some cool aggressive new riding and maybe just breaking out of his shell a little bit and just trying some new things. So I'm excited. I think this was super cool to see AC move up and kind of like what Webb did last year. I wouldn't be shocked if he holds the red plate and even maybe wins the title this year just because of the ride that he had and what seems like a really good fit for him being on that Cowie 450. So it's going to be a long shot for him, but after last year and seeing what Webb did, man, I wouldn't put it past any of these guys.
That's true. That's true. When you mentioned, coming off of the lights and then seeing something really big, I was hoping that was going to be AP last year. Like, I was
Yes.
really hoping that all that dancing and jumping around in the mud that we saw Plessinger doing before, we were going to see that in the 450s too, right? And unfortunately, it just didn't translate into it throughout last year. And so and that's kind of a little caveat into the Yamaha group, right? That Yamaha group is, to me, it's missing absolutely nothing from a talent standpoint or a support standpoint. I mean, man, people love the Yamaha squad.
Yes.
I mean, they are dyed in the wool, true blue Yamaha fans, and I mean, I know that camp they expect podiums, especially when you've got that much talent, to not at least make yourself a conversation week in, week out for the podium. got to get really frustrating. And so tell me what you think about, Barsha and AP this year. Like, where do you think this is going to be at for those guys?
Oh man, I agree with you. I don't think the team is wanting for anything. I think those guys are some of the most talented, most beloved riders that we've seen in the sport. Barsha, what you can't say Barsha without saying aggression and talent and just all out awesome riding. I mean, the guy A1 last year or his past season, he won, in the mud and surprised a lot of people. So. Um, I think he's got the pieces to the puzzle there. It's just a matter of just laying it all out and doing it. You know what I mean? Just going up there, nailing your start, riding those laps aggressively like you know how to do, managing the gap, and then just leading it up to the finish line. I mean, obviously it's a little bit more a little bit more difficult than that, but we've seen it before in Barsha, and I think he's able to back that up multiple times. And same with AP. AP's got tons of talent, and I'd even go in to say that he rides at 450 a little more comfortably and a little bit better than he does at 250. Bigger
I believe
guy,
that. I
bit
believe
of
that.
muscle. I think the 450 is a much better machine for him. I know he was injured last year, and we're gonna give him some leeway with being a rookie in the 450 class, takes him getting used to the new guys and the longer laps and stuff like that. But him just like Barsha, they have what they need to do it. They got the talent, they got the resources. They've got probably one of the faster motorcycles of this whole roster. Being that new YZ450, which is awesome, and I think they can do it, man. I really think that they're probably I'd even say more underestimated than like a JGR or MCR. Those guys really can surprise people, really play spoiler to the series. It's just a matter of, hey, just like everybody else, can you go up there, nail your start, and take this thing to the checkers every single weekend, or at least be more consistent? So we'll see, man. I have a lot of faith in those guys. I think it's going to be a new fresh start for AP being a sophomore year. I think Barsh is going to have to deal with making sure that his rookie's not beating him, just like Tomac. So Tomac.
Right.
So
Right.
I think it's gonna be good for those guys. Definitely keep an eye on them. I suspect them to kind of catch their stride within a couple of races.
So we're going to break this up into two parts, guys. This is going to be part one. We've got some other teams we're going to be covering and some other riders that we're going to be focusing on in our next one. We promised you guys a trivia question at the
Yeah,
end of this video. Now
yeah,
remember, this is all based on comment. Who's first? There are multiple winners, but whoever is first, they're going to be picking from the group of prizes that we have. And so Dave's got a question for you guys. He's going to ask the question, and we're going to close it out tonight. And like we said, our next vid, we're going to be covering the rest of the team, some other riders, some news, and some upcoming info as well. So, you ready, Dave?
yes, sir. I'm ready.
All right, dude, give it to him.
So I wanted to do some trivia around a guy that's been getting a lot of attention in the sport, and that's Mr. Ryan Dungey making the switch from KTM, long beloved brand, to the Geico Honda Squad as part owner. So with that, I want to know from you guys on Ryan Dungey, being the legend that he is, what is his longest podium streak? How many times in a row did Ryan Dungey land on the podium? It's been talked about. We've all speculated about it. We've all mentioned it. I want to know from you if you know the number of races that he's been on the podium in a long, long string. So be sure to comment and let us know what you guys think.
Okay, just to clarify, this is anywhere in the podium consecutively, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
One, two, or three. Yep.
All right, guys. So there's your question. There's your clarification. I don't want anybody in the DMs telling me you didn't understand or whatnot. One guess, one comment. That's it. Dave,
Yes.
anybody else you want to mention or you want to give a shout out to before we close out?
Oh, again, just say thank you to FXR. Thank you to Intake Breathing Systems, Flow Vision Goggles, Broke Amateur Racing, Overshare Advice, just everybody that's been on the program, Moto Tape, Evans Power Coolant, Rack Racing, Patch MX. Thank you guys for all the support. Really looking to do right by you guys. Especially got to give a huge shout out to Supercross.com for always hooking us up. I also got to mention, thank you to SGB for the cool hoodie and all the support they give us. Dig MX Radio, Surgeon Limited. Thank you guys very much. And JD, I'm excited for these giveaways, man. I'm looking forward to it. You and I are gonna have a great season. I'm excited, man. I don't think I've been this jazzed for a new race season in a long time. So you got me amped, man. I'm ready.
Good, good. Hey guys, good luck with this question. Really quick, Dedicated Ride Co. Fly, Factory Effects. Don't want to forget One Nice Ride. Thank you so much for the prizes to help with the giveaway. You guys, good luck. Talk to you soon.